I found myself in sales because I love being with people. I'm very chatty and outgoing, and it worked. But then it came to a point where I realized that this was not what I felt that God had planned for me. I felt like, that first half of my life, that first 40 years was great. And I got to see and do some amazing and achieve some amazing things. But there was something that I felt was missing.
Hello, my name is Sabine Kvenberg, founder and host of Become. The content will inspire you to reach your aspirations and become the best version of yourself. I feature interviews with successful individuals from various industries, delving into their personal and professional journeys and their strategies to achieve their goals. We have to become the person we are meant to be first, so we can live the life we are destined to live. That means we must overcome challenges and work through difficult times to learn, grow, and become the new, more fabulous version of ourselves. I'm so glad that you're here. Let's get on this journey together. Hello and welcome, Jeanelle. How are you? I'm so glad that I have you here as my guest today.
Thank you, Sabine. I'm happy to be here.
So let me give our listeners just a quick view of who you are in a nutshell. Jeanelle is a life and relationship coach who has a mission to save marriages and heal families from generational trauma caused in childhood. Before starting her own coaching practice, Jeanelle was a highly successful sales executive in the software industry. But when she turned 40, God, or the universe, had a different plan in mind for her. She is proof that anything is possible and dreams can come true, even if you have no idea how. Jeanelle has a unique perspective that has allowed her to achieve more than most people do in 20 lifetimes. She lives by example and is committed to creating her dreams or her dream life every day. Hold on to your seats and welcome again, Jeanelle.
Thank you, Sabine. Thank you so much.
So where are you chiming in from?
I live in Vancouver, Canada.
All right, fantastic. I have quite a few people that I interviewed in the past that are from Canada. So I love that this podcast show is international. So I also had people from South Africa, Australia, Germany. I love the diversity. So before we dive in, I just wanted to ask you, you are a certified life and relationship coach, and you work with both couples and individuals. So was that always your dream career?
No, it never dawned upon me until that moment when I was sitting on my couch just about to turn 40. I've always been, since I was a child, very talented and gifted. In school, I kind of just picked things up. I was a concert pianist. I was a competitive dancer. Everything just kind of, fell on my lap. And so I found myself in sales because I love being with people. I'm very chatty and outgoing, and it worked. But then it came to a point where I realized that this was not what I felt that God had planned for me. I felt like, that first half of my life, that first 40 years was great. And I got to see and do some amazing and achieve some amazing things. But there was something that I felt was missing.
Yes. So you were in the corporate world. You had a 6-figure career and you gave that up, basically. Was that in alignment when you turned 40 that you had all of a sudden that vision that there must be more in life? What was that pivotal moment for you that gave you that realization?
Yeah, well, one thing I realized is I couldn't stay in a company for more than 4 years. 4 years was kind of the limit that I would stay anywhere in one place. And so I had actually just won a trip to Rome.
Huh.
I was one of the top 1% in the company, and they send their top performers on this exorbitant, extravagant luxury trip. And I remember going to my boss and saying, I don't know how much longer I want to be here. And I remember him saying to me, well, what do you mean? You're like at the top of the food chain. You're like winning all these things and you're doing so well. Why would you want to leave? And, part of me was quite confused because, yeah, why would I want to leave? Right? I'm getting whatever I want. I got to work from home. I sometimes work 5, 6 hours a day, making lots of money and people throwing all these prizes. And yet there was something missing inside of me. And it felt like there was a calling. It felt like I had not used up all of Jeanelle. And so it was almost felt like whatever it is that I wanted to do next had to be all of me. And in sales, as much as I loved it, I felt like I had to wear a mask. I felt like I had to be someone else. I had to grow thick skin. I had to just not be authentically me. And I think a lot of us, as we get older, we really start to hear what that authenticity sounds like. And you're much more aware when something's not right.
Yeah, I totally get it.
Yeah. And so I actually quit my job. I had no plan B. One day I woke up and something said to me, Jeanelle, it's time to go. And so I went downstairs and I said to my husband, I'm going to quit today. And he said, what? He said, are you sure about that? He said, do you have anything lined up? And I said, nope. But it just got to a point where my soul was screaming and it was crying. And I just knew, like, I can't do this anymore. And I couldn't tell you, to be honest, Sabine, what that was. I just, you just know your intuition is just really, really loud. And so I took the next 6 months to the next year, just really trying to figure out, who am I and what do I want?
Right. And you know what? The interesting part is that you followed your intuition. And a lot of people don't do this. They're not attuned to it. And when you come to that point that you realize that money is not everything. Money alone doesn't give you the fulfilled life that we all really are searching for.
Yeah.
And that's why I feel a lot of people in this world right now, as we speak, are struggling with their physical health, with their mental health, because of this unalignment. They are not aligned with their soul, their soul's purpose. And I truly believe that.
Yes.
And that's what this podcast is all about. Really becoming your next greater self and really fulfilling your life's purpose.
Yes.
So you said, and I love what you said, it doesn't match up with all the Jeanelle that you are and that you know. So during that time that you took off, and I, by the way, hear this a lot in my interviews, that there has to be sometimes a time period where you're unsure, where you just have to be still, where you just have to take a rest.
Yes.
For the universe to respond. And I hear that in you too. So lead us through that process, that metamorphosis, so to speak.
Yeah. Well, the first thing I started to do is I started to listen to some Christian music and just get reconnected to God, because a lot of us, when we get into the grind, especially in corporate, we forget to feed our spiritual body. And so I got reconnected to that. And then the next step I asked myself was, why was I so unhappy? What was it that was missing that was part of my core values that I was not honoring? Because like you said, right, if we're not in alignment, then we're going to feel that pain, that struggle. But if you don't know what your center is, if you don't know what your core values is, you're never going to know what makes you happy and what doesn't make you happy. And so I spent a couple months just thinking, what is Jeanelle's core values? So that whenever if I look for a new job or I decide to start my own business, it's my center point. And what I discovered was I have 5 core values. And my 5 core values is family, fun, freedom, flow, and faith. And when I honor those 5 things, I am always good And whenever I don't honor those things, I feel it. So as soon as I start to feel that like icky feeling, I go back to my values and I go, okay, which of those values am I not honoring right now?
Hmm.
And usually it's fun or faith.
Yeah, I can totally relate to it, because when we do something that we are passionate about and we're really engaged in our work, sometimes we forget, and not that it's not fun, right? But we still have to have a life balance with everything and said, wow, have I done anything fun lately? Like just going out on a canoe trip or whatever it may be for you, right? And
Mhm.
I totally get it. And this is when most people get burnout, by the way, if they're not in balance with their life. Let me hop in here real quick to share something with you. Have you ever tried to build your own website, start a newsletter, or build a course and charge for it? Have you ever wanted to make money online but are totally confused by all the different systems you need to have? That's why I use Kajabi. Kajabi is the most popular system for online marketers, coaches, thought leaders, and influencers. Kajabi helps online entrepreneurs take off. Over 100,000 of us use Kajabi and have made over $4 billion. Why not be part of it? The best thing is you don't have to figure out tons of systems or crazy technology to start your online business. Kajabi helps you do all of that, and it's all on one platform. That's why I use it. It makes my life so much easier, and I can even earn money while I'm sleeping. You can build your web pages, blogs, and membership sites. You can create offers, checkout pages, and collect money. You can host your videos. You can start your newsletter list, capture emails, start your marketing funnels, all in one place. It makes it fun and easy with awesome tutorials and support. Since I've joined Kajabi from the beginning, I have a special affiliate link that I would like to share with you. A 30-day free trial. So nothing to lose, but everything to gain. Just go to my link that's in the show notes, sabinekvenberg.com/resources, and we will redirect you to the free trial page. And if you are just starting out and want to get your offer out for sale in just 3 days, let me help you do that. Visit my webpage, by the way, that I built on Kajabi, and apply to making it happen. So now let's get back to the show. So
Mhm.
you rediscovered or discovered your 5 values that are very important to you. What was then the next step that helped you through that process to get to where you are now?
Mhm. I asked myself, who am I? At the end of my life, what is it that I want to be able to achieve? And what I discovered is I want to be able to make a difference. I want to make an impact in the world. I don't even care if people remember my name. I just want to be able to have left this earth better than when I came. And so the question I asked myself was, what would be the greatest expression of my love? What does that look like? I mean, we all have love inside us and
Mm-hmm.
we all express it differently, right? Some of us are nurses, some of us like to cook. But I said, what is authentically Jeanelle? If God was able to create the perfect job for Jeanelle, what would that job be? And
Mm.
so I really just started to brainstorm what are the things about life, about people, where am I passionate? And, coming from corporate, I knew that I love being with people. I love teaching. I love inspiring. And people listened to me. People really took in what I said. And so I actually hired my own coach to try to figure out my life. And in that process of her helping me, I realized that's what I want to do is I want to be like her. I want to
Mm-hmm.
be able to come into people's lives and help them find clarity and power and confidence and find themselves again.
Yes. Yes, so totally. You know what you said is so true. You hired yourself a coach. Even coaches need coaches. We
Yeah.
consistently are growing. Absolutely. So what made you decide? Have you had an experience that you could use that was really a dark time in your life, perhaps, that helped you to do what you do now?
Absolutely. I've had a lot of dark things happen in my life. When I was 9, I grew up with really great parents who loved each other a lot. They were
Mhm.
affectionate, they were playful, they did everything together. But then when I was 9, my dad cheated on my mom, had an affair with my mom's best friend
Mm.
who was actively pursuing my dad, and he got her pregnant and he left. And I was 9, my sister was 6, and my brother was 3. So we were very young. And because I'm the eldest, I was kind of my mom's sidekick. So she'd go on these like, late night detective, hanging out in front of their house, waiting for them to come out. And I was her partner in all of that. And so that was a very difficult time in my life. But having gone through that, and so how the story ends, actually, let me finish the story. So my dad leaves, he gets sick 3 years later, and he comes back to my mom and he says, and my mom is a nurse, and he says to my mom, "I'm sick. Will you take care of me?"
Wow.
And my mom said, "Absolutely. Yes. And you can come home under 2 conditions. Number one, you never go back. If you're here, you're here. And number two, we never talk about this ever again. We forgive, we forget, we move on."
Mm.
And she honored that. She never brought it up, never hung it over his head. And this is why I'm such an advocate of forgiveness. And I think we all need to learn how to not only forgive ourselves and then be able to forgive other people. But in that experience, I thought that even though my dad came back and he passed away and it was peaceful and it was loving and we were there, going into my 20s, I realized that there was still a lot of stuff that I hadn't resolved because of my dad
Mm.
and what happened as a 9-year-old. And what I discovered doing the work was I had made 3 decisions at 9 years old. I decided that I'm unlovable, I can't trust people, and everybody I love will leave me. So even though that was complete, that relationship was complete, the trauma still kept going. And so I've spent the last 20 years of my life daily still dealing with those things,
Yes.
right? And now that I'm married to the most incredible husband. There's still things that he'll say that will trigger me because of, my trust issues. But there's nothing there, but it's just this knee-jerk reaction that I have to manage and be responsible for. But to answer your question, I think why I know that I am such a great coach because I have so much compassion for people because I have been through a lot of what they're dealing with. People pleasing, perfectionism, abandonment issues, trust issues, confidence issues. I was molested when I was 9. There's so much to share, but in the moment, and I want to say this to the listeners, in the moment, we think to ourselves, why me? Why did this happen to me? But really what I'm discovering is everything happens to us for a reason. And it is up to us to find the gift, the lesson, the opportunity in every one of those challenging moments because it is in the challenge that we grow. It is not in the days when life is blissful that we actually grow. No, it is in those dark moments that those happen.
Absolutely. I cannot agree more. And I see that is a reoccurring theme with all of my guests. That's when we grow. That's when we make a difference. And that's when we discover what we really can do.
Mhm.
But the interesting part is what you mentioned that, especially when we are children, the experiences that we have, they are in our subconscious mind ingrained. And consciously, we already, say, okay, that was in the past. All right, whatever, it's done.
Yeah.
But it pops up at moments. Why are we not getting through this? Or why are we not moving forward faster? Or why is there a block? And it's because of those same things that are in the past that still have to be worked out and released or transformed into what was, into how we can use it into what is now. And it's an ongoing work.
Mhm.
That is very, very fascinating. But I want to go on to a little bit of a lighter subject now because I love stories. And one of the things that struck me when we connected was your crazy stories. So one of the things that you shared with me that you met the Queen of England and was almost arrested. So can you share a little bit more about that?
Yes. So let me just show you. So this is me
Uh-huh.
at
Oh,
6 years old. That's my
okay.
mom in the back with the camera and my sister in the background. And the reason I want to share why I keep this picture. I dug it up when she passed away because it was in my storage unit. And when I look at this little girl and what she had to go through to meet this woman and how she was unstoppable and she saw the moment escaping her, she was like, no, I'm gonna run after her, I'm gonna go for it, and she got what she wanted. This is why I keep this picture in my office, because I remind myself this is who I need to get back to.
So you
That's why I keep
basically
this
run
going.
out through the crowd, and this little tiny one
Yeah.
for the listeners here. I see this picture. I could see Jeanelle. She was just out behind or in front of the barrier, and just
Yes.
she stood right in front of the Queen, and the Queen was so gracious to look at her. And did she say something to you?
Yeah. So what happened is, this is actually, my mom used to work at the hospital, and she came to open a new wing, to cut the ribbon. And I remember that day, it was a cloudy day. And my mom said, we're going to go see the Queen. And I was, like I told you earlier, I was a dancer. I knew how to curtsy. So I was like, I need to show her my curtsy. And so we passed by a grocery store. And I said, Mom, we need to stop to get some flowers for the Queen. And my mom is thinking to herself, you're never going to see the Queen. So she goes and buys the cheapest flowers that she can find just to keep me quiet. So we get to this place, and they, as you see, they have the pillars and they have the yellow rope, and the RCMP comes through and says, children are not allowed to pass this line, keep them back. Of course, everyone says yes, but of course, I'm so little, this rope is above my head, so it's easy for me to go under. So we probably wait maybe an hour, and finally she comes down, and of course, everyone is screaming, right, trying to get her attention, and all the kids are throwing, waving around their flowers, and I'm screaming, Your Majesty, I have flowers for you. Of course, she doesn't see me, hear me. And I see her, I notice, I'm like, oh no, she's leaving. But I have flowers. So what do I go do? I just make this this decision, like, okay, I'm going to go for it. And I just bolted and I just ran after her. And everybody in the entourage turns around, and then the police start chasing me. But she sees this happening, so she waves them off. She's like, it's okay, it's okay. So she walks back to this area, to where I'm standing, and she just says to me, she says, are these for me? And I said, yes, Your Majesty. And she said, oh, thank you so much, dear. And I curtsied, and they took the picture as she was grabbing the flowers to me, and I got on the front page of the newspaper.
Oh, how fun. What a fun story this is. I love it. I love it. Thank you so much for sharing, which also gives us another little golden nugget. And that is, if you really want something, you go after it, no matter how difficult it may seem or it seems impossible. You just do it.
Yeah.
Great reminder.
Yeah, I knew in that moment that this moment was never gonna come again. And I was like,
Yeah.
I either let it go or I go after it.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's how I've tried to live my life.
I love it. I love it. So, Jeanelle, if people want to get in touch with you, what is the best way to do that?
Yes, they can reach me on my website at jeanellegreen.com, or at saveourmarriage.ca.
And I will make sure to put it in the show notes as well. Thank you so much for sharing your story and insights. And I wish you many, many more years of excitement and just a life full of new experiences.
Thank you.
That was my interview. And if you enjoyed it, give us a 5-star review, leave a comment, and share it with your friends. Thanks for listening. Until I see you again, always remember, serve from the heart, follow your passion, and live the life you imagine.